My name is Mike Carpentiero, and I'm the pilot of this rare vintage biplane. Got my license in the early 80s flying gliders, then I flew for the military for 14 years, and I flew for the airlines, and then I've been flying biplanes now for approximately 12 years. When I started this business back in 2002 with one biplane. We ended up with 3 biplanes, and now we just have this one large biplane. And I got this biplane primarily for groups and corporate gigs. I want to tell you a little bit about this airplane. It's a very rare 1929 new standard biplane built for the Gates Flying Circus. It's unique because it has 4 seats in the front. It was built and designed to carry passengers in the 20s, and that's what we use it for today. Now, what is the advantage to your group or your corporation if you come out here and fly with us is, of course, we can take 4 at a time. The rides are roughly 15 to 20 minutes, so we can take on average 12 to 16 passengers an hour. What we do is we show up with a minibus. Usually 12 is what I like because it gives us a little bit of picture time, and then your folks can get out. We brief them, and they sit idly by, and we load up 4 passengers and put them in the front of the aircraft up in here and take them flying. A lot of times we can go over your hotel wherever you're staying, and that's kind of nice, and the people love it. We do some tricks here and there. We come back in and land, and then we exit the people and we put the new batch in, and like I said, about 12 to 16 an hour we can do. And typically we like to use 2 motor coaches, so you have one bus coming from the hotel as the other bus is leaving with the last group, and then we'll load those folks up, and it usually works fairly smooth. We can travel pretty much to any venue. Of course, there might be some additional costs involved, but anywhere in the Southwest or in the Northwest for that matter is where we primarily like to operate out of. So, you know, given the size of the group and the location, we can make it happen. Phoenix area, Vegas, Palm Springs, San Diego, Southern California, Northern California, Washington, Oregon. It's not a problem. Let me explain something that I think is really nice about an advantage your customers or your people will have flying with me or picking this tour. Is the advantage is, first of all, we can schedule this tour any time of the day. We can schedule it from 6 in the morning till basically till dusk, till the sun goes down. So you have a lot of flexibility on when you want to come and take the ride. Also, the ride lasts 15-20 minutes. The whole evolution maybe an hour from the time the folks get on the bus, get out there, take a ride, get back on the bus, and get back to the hotel. So they're not going for a 5-hour Jeep tour or a 6-hour, you know, bike tour, and it takes up their whole day that they have free to, you know, enjoy their activity. You know, a lot of times you guys will offer, you know, groups will offer 2 or 3 activities, and that's why this one, not only do I think that it's the best activity, but it's easy and it's flexible and it works really well for everybody, especially when you're trying to schedule these folks, you know, with multiple activities. Let me give you an advantage of flying with me versus flying if any other kind of aerial tour. Okay, I know that sometimes some companies offer balloon tours. Well, there's a problem with the balloon tours. First of all, if you have a large group, let's say 100+ people, that balloon operator's got to bring in other balloon operators who he has to pay in advance. So that means there's no refunds typically with those kind of people if the wind picks up and they can't fly, number one. Number two, you're going to have to bus them to a remote location a lot of times to take off in the balloon, and it takes up a lot of time. I mean, it's not that convenient. And that's another advantage if you want to do an aerial tour to come fly with me. On top of the fact that we can control where we land. So Some operations use gliders. I've seen gliders being used before, and that's a bit of a fiasco because you can usually only put one passenger in a glider, so you've got multiple gliders, multiple tow planes, and it really can become a nightmare sometimes with a large group. So I think that the best activity for a large group, the most efficient and the most fun, the most efficient, cost-effective is to come fly in a biplane ride. I mean, first of all, you can't just, there's not a lot of places where you can get a ride in a vintage aircraft like this, especially one of this type, a D-25. There's only 7 left flying in the world, and we have the only one west of the Mississippi. And this is, I believe I'm the only one that travels with this aircraft. I don't think there's anybody that's willing to travel from state to state and venue to venue to offer this activity to folks. So it's a rare opportunity. This is an all original aircraft, and I highly recommend it. A couple of other points I wanted to make is basically the way I work this aircraft. I mean, I am available for corporate gigs, but the way I work this aircraft is very unique because there's nobody else doing this. We actually fly from town to town, small towns, offering rides to folks that would never normally be able to see or get a ride in an aircraft like this. Pretty much the way it was done back in the 20s. And there's a lot of sacrifice that goes in doing that. You know, sleeping on the ground, dealing with weather, traveling, you know, across the country. You never know really what you're going to get. And so we're kind of proud of the fact that we still carry on the tradition that was started in the 20s with barnstorming and with the old barnstormers. And I like to say that I think I'm probably the only one in a biplane. I know I'm the only one in a new standard biplane traveling around the country giving rides to folks in little towns. So I wanted to put that out there. On closing, I'd like to say that you can reach me on my website at www.nostalgicwarbirdrides.com. You can also just Google nostalgic biplane rides or nostalgic rides, and a lot of times my website will come up. The phone number is 760-641-7335 or 800-991-2473. And you can reach me via email, or you can pick up the phone and call, and we should be available.